Welcome to A Pastor's Heart. My name is Pastor Patrick, and I am so glad that you tuned in to watch this video today. I do hope you'll watch to the very end. If you've managed to see any of the videos on this channel, you've seen the different messages that we've talked about and topics that we've discussed in and around church. Each video is a mere snippet of the actual topic. We could go into much more detail, and we plan on doing so as we move forward. But I wanted to touch on another topic that I feel sometimes might be just misunderstood, because it's not really explained a lot. But this topic, ironically, is one of those that every human being on this planet shares. Regardless of race, religion, sex, ethnicity, doesn't matter. Everybody shares this one true thing. That word is faith. Now, in the Christian Bible, the scripture in Hebrews says, faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. Now, if you've ever heard that scripture before, I've heard it, dissected a lot of different ways. One of the first ways I've heard it dissected is the first two words, say now faith. What is now faith? Now faith is today, what you believe today, not yesterday, not last week, last year, but today. But what is actual faith? Faith, defined in this scripture, is actually a verb. It's an action. And one of the ways I like to disseminate that is to use the word trusting. So if you take the word faith and you change it to trusting, it says now trusting is the substance of things hoped for. The action of putting trust into something or someone is faith. Now, I said that we all have faith. Even people who might be, non-believers, who don't believe God exists at all, atheists, they have faith. Now, I don't know where you're watching this video. You might be watching it on your phone, maybe your tablet, your laptop. Maybe you have a computer hooked up to a big screen TV and you're watching this at home. I don't know. Wherever you may be watching it, you most likely might be sitting down on a couch or a chair, maybe an office chair if you're, on a break at work or something. Believe it or not, you have faith. You have faith in that very piece of furniture that you happen to be sitting on. You are trusting that that furniture will support you, that it's not going to break, that it's not going to fall apart, you're not going to fall over, that you're going to be comfortable sitting in that chair. That's trusting. That's faith. If you've ever been to the United States, and one of the most popular cities up north in Pennsylvania is the city of Philadelphia, has thousands of bridges in the city. If you've ever traveled in Pittsburgh, you would have faith in those bridges, that when you drive across them, they're going to stay intact, that they're not going to crumble or break, that you're going to make it safely across. And that's faith, that's trust. So even if you're new to faith, new to believing in Jesus, new to Christianity, or not at all, you do have faith, you do have trusting in your life. When you get in your car and you start the ignition to turn it on so you can drive, you have faith, you have trusting in the car to operate the way it was designed. If something goes wrong with the car, you take it to a mechanic because they're certified to work on it, and therefore you have put trust in them to work on the car. So we actually use faith and trusting in our everyday lives all the time, whether we realize it or not. And so, why is it so difficult for people to believe in God and say, I've never seen him? I don't think he's real. He doesn't exist. There's an old mentor that I used to follow years ago that liked to quote saying, God is like the air. You don't see it, but you feel it. You go outside and you feel the temperature of the atmosphere. You feel whether it's warm or whether it's cold. You feel the wind. You don't see it. And I think so many times we as humans want to put our faith only in things that we can control with the five senses. Can we see it? Can we hear it? Can we smell it? Can we touch it? Or can we taste it sometimes? And the reality is that in the scriptures, I even quoted in an earlier video about that we being created like God, three persons, a spirit. Our spirits see things that our physical bodies don't. Our spirits sense things that our physical bodies don't. And the reality is that all too often we want God to be human. We want God incarnate to come on the earth again, just like Jesus, and be a human so that we can believe what we see then. And only then will we believe. But think about it this way. If you choose that you will not have faith or trust in God till you can physically see him, that's the same as you walking home into your front door, and before you sit on that couch, you have to have somebody walk in and inspect it. You have to have somebody go and test and make sure that that couch performs correctly before you will sit on it. We don't do that. We don't do that in everyday life. We walk around with a sense of trusting, a sense of faith in so many things because they become second nature. You will have a better relationship with God if you trust him just like you trust your couch, just like you trust your table, just like you trust your car to start when you use it. That if you wait to see, if you wait for things to work out before you trust, that is not faith. That is not trusting. Faith is trusting before you see. I heard a pastor one time say, I would rather spend my whole life believing in God only to die and find out I was wrong than to not believe and find out I should have. And that's a very poignant statement. That's a very powerful thing to think about. There are ways for us to put our faith and trust in God. There is evidence for us to see, for us to learn. And that's the point of what faith is. Faith is an action. That's why the definition of faith is trusting, not trust. Not a noun, but an actual action, a verb, trusting, to continually to do it. Think of it this way. If you enter into the union of marriage and you have a ceremony, whether it's walking down the aisle of a church or outside in a field, or whether you go to a courtroom and get, married by a judge, when you enter into that contract, technically at that point, it is a time-stamped event that occurred. But it is a lifelong contract that you have to physically live out every single day. Marriage is not a one-time event. Marriage is a lifetime event. You have to wake up every day being married. Your actions every single day need to reflect being married. It's a different lifestyle. And the same thing applies to relationship with Jesus and having faith, trusting. It needs to happen every day. You don't just pray a prayer of salvation and then pray, God, can you help me out in my life? And then never do anything again. And just stop and just sit on the couch and wait for God to do something. Faith and trusting is everyday action. Everyday salvation. Everyday relationship. So like I said, We all have faith in different things, whether it be furniture, trusting that it's going to cooperate and not function the way it's supposed to, or vehicles. We should also have the same faith, trusting in God, that as we build a relationship with Him, our faith becomes second nature. So we don't have to question how things work out, because we trust God to take care of them. And it becomes a second nature activity. We don't spend so much time worrying about things, because just like we know the chair or the couch will be there and be comfortable the next time we need it, God is there working for us, and we have faith in trusting Him.